Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we are trying the new Makeup by Mario Ethereal Eyes Nature Palette. I cannot wait to try this. If you know me, you know the original Ethereal Eyes palette is probably my favorite palette ever. So I was so excited to see a new color story. I haven't swatched mine or anything yet, so this is going to be all first impressions. And I'm going to share all of my thoughts with you today. We'll create at least 2 looks with this palette, maybe 3. We'll just see how it goes, but that is today's video. And if you're new here, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of beauty content here on my channel. I would love for you to stick around and subscribe. But let's go ahead and get into this palette. All right, so here it is. This is the new Nature palette. When I saw this color story, I literally gasped because this to me is literally a perfect color story. I love every single color in this palette, and that rarely happens for me. Usually, no matter what palette we're talking about, there's like one shade in it that I'm not a huge fan of. I love all the shades in here. But I also love, as you know, if you watch my videos for a while, I love the original Ethereal Eyes palette. This palette it's my favorite. If I had to pick one palette in my whole collection, it would be this one, which is unfortunate because you can't get this palette anymore. But I just love everything about it. The colors, the formula. This is truly me in an eyeshadow palette. This is exactly the kind of eye look that I love if I'm wearing eyeshadow. Now, I did want to talk about differences between the two here. The new one, I didn't really notice this last year when he released the Midnight palette, but the original palette does feel a little bit different, like just in terms of the packaging. It's a little bit heavier than the Midnight and this new version. I don't remember really noticing that last year when I did a video on the Midnight palette, but I did just kind of notice it when I was holding them. So I don't know, I guess maybe they slightly changed the component, but just wanted to point that out. Now, this was Moonlight. So this is the one that came out last year around this time. And this is beautiful. This is definitely my least favorite just in terms of the color story. These are not colors that I use on a daily basis. It's, you know, a bit more smoky, a little bit deeper for me personally. Not really an everyday palette, but it is beautiful. So let's get into this new one, which is the Nature palette. This to me overall is a little bit warmer than the original. I wouldn't say it's an overly warm palette. I would say it's more of like a neutral leaning warm, whereas I would say the original was more neutral leaning cool. Just my opinion. But this is what it looks like now. I have seen some of the things going around about this possibly having a different formula than the original one. I haven't watched any reviews specifically to see what exactly is being said, but I've seen some things out there on social media saying that the formula has changed on this palette. So I'm very familiar with Makeup by Mario eyeshadow formulas, so I will let you know what I think. All right, I do want to swatch this palette. I will also insert arm swatches here as well, and I'll probably do a comparison swatch too between this and the original Ethereal Eyes, but I'm also just going to swatch them quickly on my hand right here. So we've got the first column here on my fingers, and this, just looking at it, would be a really beautiful, just everyday eye color story for me personally. So here's the first column. So you have EE in number 1, EE in number 5, and EE in number 9. So the first column. First one is like an ivory matte that has some shimmer in it. I've seen this formula before, the Patrick Ta palette, the Major Dimension 1. There's a matte in there that looks almost identical to this. It's just like an off-white matte, but you can see if you look closely, it does have some shimmer through it. Then we have this shade. This shade is beautiful. It's kind of like a rosy nude color. And then this one is a warmer, I would say like mid to deep toned brown right here. So that is column number 1. Based on this first column alone, the matte formula here feels exactly the same as the other two palettes to me, so I'm not feeling anything different or seeing anything different just with this first row. All right, then we've got the next column here. So we've got EEN2, EEN6, and EEN10 right here. So these are obviously shimmers. This seems to be what people are talking about the most. In terms of the feel, just from swatching those right there, the feel definitely feels the same to me. They're very thin feeling shimmer shades, and they were in the original palette as well. But let me see what I think when I swatch them right here. So here are the second column shimmer shades. So again, we've got EEN2, EEN6, and EEN10. So one is more of like a lighter champagne, one is kind of a rose gold, and then one is more of a bronzy gold. But this is what they look like. So if I'm seeing a difference between them, I would say it's not in the feel of the formula at all. They feel like that same really thin texture. I could see maybe these have more of a base to them. The originals were a little bit more of like the Urban Decay Moon Dust eyeshadows, like Space Cowboy, whereas you saw more of the shimmer and that really pretty like wet glow, not so much color. Whereas with this one, you do still get that wet kind of look, but there's a little bit more of a base to these than the original. So maybe that's what people are referring to. These three are beautiful though. I don't see anything that I don't like in the swatches. But again, we gotta get them on the eyes, but the only difference I'm seeing is maybe the original Moon Dust or the original Ethereal Eyes were more like piecey shimmer. They weren't these traditional, just wet looking shimmer shades. All right, the next column here, which this is really what sold me on this palette. These three shades are so pretty. So we've got EEN3, we've got EEN7, and we've got EEN11. Sorry, I kind of swatched them out of order there. But so based on these, just swatching them, this EEN11, it's a bit of a thicker feeling formula, like a traditional metallic, like this one in the original palette. This shade right here has that same feel to it. I think those two are probably the same formula. They're just not they're not that thin feeling powder. I don't know how else to describe it. They're just, the others are very thin. That one feels a little bit thicker. But let me swatch these on my hand here. Okay, so here are the hand swatches. So we've got EEN3, EEN7, and EEN11 right here. So first one is green, but it's not quite as green as this next one. It's kind of like a gray green. And then we've got this beautiful plum metallic that I was talking about right here. That's definitely a different formula than these and the previous three shimmer shades. And finally, we've got this final row here. Three mattes, so no shimmer in these. We've got EEN4, EEN8, and EEN12. So just three very neutral, basic matte colors. But for those of us that love a neutral, basic eye look, these three are perfect. Now let me swatch them. So here they are. Again, we've got EEN4, EEN8, and EEN12. So far in the swatches, I'm not seeing anything that I don't like personally. We'll see how they perform and how they look on the eyes. Yeah, I think maybe the shimmers, they do have a little bit more base pigment to them, a little bit more color than the original shimmers that are more of just that wet sparkle, but I think they're beautiful. And here's the palette on my hand right here. Like I said, I'll insert some arm swatches too, just in case you want to see that as well. But here they are on my hand. And I mean, I love every single one of these colors. I'm not kidding. I don't think he could have made this color story any more appealing to me. Almost as if he made this palette just for me, because truly I love every single color in here, truly. But I am a Makeup by Mario lover. In fact, a lot of my favorite products are from Makeup by Mario, a lot of them. So I love the whole brand. I love him. I love it all. I love it all. All right, one more thing. I think this does kind of show what's being said about the shimmers in this palette. Okay, so here are the three from the original right here. These are the first 3 column of the shimmers in the Nature palette. So they both have that wet look. Like, do you see that? They have the wet look there. They just have more color. These are more of like a true wet look, like the Urban Decay Moon Dust. That's the formula that is the most similar to me. But yeah, they are different, but I don't think that makes these any less beautiful. It's just a little bit different than the original, just not that piecey wet shimmer. This has the wet look, just with a little bit more base pigment to it. But yeah, I mean, I can see where, yeah, it's not exactly identical, but I can also see one of those things where if he had made them exactly like the original, people would have come out and said that it was too much like the original. But then if they change them slightly and add a little bit more base pigment, then people are mad that they're not like the original. So it's one of those things where I feel pretty confident in saying they probably were gonna make somebody unhappy regardless of what they did with this palette. But to me, I think they're both beautiful. I love the original, but this is equally beautiful, just in a different way. All right, let's get into look number 1. I am actually gonna use his Master Matte's cream eyeshadow in Sandstone as a primer. This product is a great primer for eyeshadow, or they're great on their own too, but this color for my skin tone adds just like the tiniest bit of color, and it really evens out the lid as well. And it acts as a great primer too. So I'm gonna use this in Sandstone kind of all over. This is one of those things, I've used this shade so much in this shadow. I think I'm honestly gonna have to buy a new one soon because I feel like I'm already kind of getting low on it. All right, let's get into this palette. I'm so excited. I think I'm gonna try to use all the colors for this video. So I'm thinking maybe we'll do it in quads, because another way I look at this palette is this is a good eye look right here. This is a good eye look right here. This quad and this quad. Obviously you can mix and match them too, but when I look at this palette, that's kind of what sticks out to me. I'm gonna start with this color right here, this really beautiful kind of nude rose color. There is a shade in the original palette that on first glance you might think is the same as this one, but the one in the original palette is a little bit more pink. This one has a little bit more of a, I mean, that color on its own is so pretty. This one has a little bit more of a nude look to it, not quite as much of that pink tone. That shade on its own is beautiful. That was EEN 5. So about this formula, it does have a lot of kick up in the pan when you stick your finger in the pan, or your brush has a lot of kick up. This formula to me, when I think of like how to describe it, is suede. I don't know why, but the finish and just the overall feel of it kind of reminds me of suede. It's very smooth, buttery. I don't know why, I just think of suede when I think of this formula. So I'm applying that same shade in the crease, and then I'm kind of bringing it down to this outer corner of the eye as well. One thing that I love about Makeup by Mario's eyeshadow formula, especially the mattes, is they are not the most pigmented mattes I've ever used. Like, they are not Natasha Denona pigment, they're not Pat McGrath pigment. They have a more buildable formula. So you can get pigment from them, you can build them up a little bit, but they are a little bit more approachable in my opinion if you're someone that's not really great at eyeshadow, or maybe you're just a beginner and you want something that's on the easier to work with side. The Makeup by Mario matte formula is a great formula for that, in my opinion. They also blend out beautifully. They are not difficult to blend at all, at all. That's probably my favorite thing about them, honestly. I'm gonna switch to a different brush. That was an N13, by the way, from BK Beauty and Nikki LaRose. I'm gonna take this pretty matte kind of off-white here that has the shimmer in it. And I'm gonna place this. Oh, this shade is pretty pigmented to be so light, honestly. So I'm putting that in this inner corner and kind of brushing it up and over into that first shade that we applied, just to kind of get some brightness in this area right here. This whole people not being happy with the shimmers being slightly different in this palette also kind of reminds me of movies. You know, when they remake a movie and they do like a sequel and then they do a third one, people are never happy with the sequel or the third movie. You know what I mean? I feel like this eyeshadow palette is kind of the same way. Because it's not the original, people aren't going to be happy with it. Or some people aren't going to be happy with it. Do you know what I mean? That just kind of reminds me of that. I'm taking a little bit of that shade as well up on my brow bone right here, just like tiny, tiny little bit. All right, then I'm gonna take this shade right here. This is the one that's kind of a rose gold. And these shades, these shimmers in these palettes, I typically like to use my finger. So I am just gonna pop that right in the center portion of the lid right here. And that's beautiful. I don't see anything that I'm not liking so far. And let's see, just to use this first quad that I was talking about, we'll take a little bit of this lighter shimmer as well. I'm gonna use a brush with this one, even though I do think these shades work the best with your finger. But I'm gonna put a little bit of that right in this inner corner, just to get like a little pop of brightness right there. I'm gonna take a 204 now from BK Beauty. I'm gonna go into that first shade that we used, which was the rosy kind of nude color. And I'm gonna take this on the lower lash line. And that is the first little quad here that I was talking about. So maybe we'll do 4. We'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this, and we'll do this. I'm gonna go back in with that first brush we used, and I'm gonna add a little bit of that nude shade right here. I always kind of neglect that area, and I've heard Mario himself say this is like one of the most neglected areas on the eye, this inner part right here. I do have one of his new eyeliners he launched with the cream eyeshadows. I'm gonna take just a little bit of it on my lash line right here, on the outer half of the upper lash line. This is in the shade Taupe. It's a really beautiful, kind of like a gray brown. And I'm gonna use the brush on the other end and kind of flick it out just a little. Do a little bit of that liner on this side as well. And then just using the little brush that comes with it to pull it out just a little. Let's do some mascara. I did get his mascara in brown that he released with this palette. Now, I did buy his mascara when it came out originally in black, and it was a little bit too much for me. I like something a little bit more natural for every day, but I did buy the brown one because I do love brown mascara and I wanted to try it again. But this mascara, actually a few times I used it, did smudge on me as well in the black when I tried it originally. But it's been a little while since I've tested it, so let's use the brown one today. So this is the Master Mascara in the shade The Perfect Brown. I love that he launched this in brown. And let's try this out. It does look like a true brown as well, which is nice. I also thought that it was a kind of a clumpier mascara when I tried it the first time, but this brown one is not looking clumpy at all to me. So I don't know, maybe it's because it's a new tube. All right, so there is one coat of it. That looks way better than it looked the first time I tried it. I don't know. Now I'm like questioning myself because the first time I thought it was kind of clumpy and it was very like kind of more of a thickening, volumizing formula, but this looks really lengthening to me right now. So I'm glad I'm trying it again. Yeah, why does this mascara seem different than the black one? Well, that looks great. Oh, I wish it wouldn't smudge. Ugh, because I love the color of this. So there is the perfect brown and his mascara. All right, I'm gonna do a lip really quickly and then I'll be back and we'll see the finished look number 1. All right, so here is finished look number 1. Perfect. I mean, this is a perfect Blair eye look in my mind. Everything I love, very neutral, very soft, but yet a little bit of something, a little bit of shimmer on the lid. I love it. I love it. I love the mascara too right now. I really wish it wouldn't flake and smudge, but anyways, I love this. Full on Makeup by Mario lip combo as well. I have on Hue lip liner, Sam lipstick in his original matte lipstick formula, and then a little bit of his gloss in Midnight Mauve on top. And that's what's on my lips. But I love this. So here is look number 1. All right, I'm going to remove this. I don't know how, but I'm gonna remove it and we'll be back and we'll do look number 2. All right, I removed that as well as I possibly could. I could not get this mascara off. I just used a makeup wipe to take the eyeshadow off, and yeah, it wasn't taking the mascara off. So we're just gonna have to leave the mascara the way it is. But I got the eyeshadow off and I reapplied the Sandstone shade of the eye paint or the cream eyeshadow. Let's move into look number 2. So I'm thinking we're gonna use this quad now. Obviously we would be like reusing these two, but this is just how it makes the most sense in my brain to do quads. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna go back to EF5, which is that nude color. This is such a perfect color. Like I would absolutely hit pan on this. Like that by itself, I love. I'm gonna put this in the crease, but like I was saying earlier, what I love about this eyeshadow formula is like I do not have to try to blend these. Like I don't have to try. I could do this. Honestly, I could not look at what I'm doing and the shadows would still look good. That's what I love about this formula. Let's take this deeper brown now. So this warm kind of mid-toned brown down here. And I'm gonna switch to a 211 from BK Beauty, which is a smaller, fluffier brush. And I'm just gonna kind of feather this in the outer corner of the eye here. So basically applying in the outer V. I go back to the first brush that we used and just kind of going over those two shades, blending everything together. But do you see how they just blend seamlessly? Like this formula is just so easy to use, and that's my favorite thing about it. Now I'm taking this shade right here, which is EN10, and I'm gonna use my finger again, and I'm gonna apply this on the lid, so anywhere that we didn't apply those other two shades. So this shade is similar to the one above it that we used earlier on the lid. So this one right here, this one is just a little bit more bronzy than that one, but they do look relatively similar. It's just this one is more brown, the other one's a little bit more pinky. So this paired with that darker brown in the outer corner just makes this one look a little bit more brown overall. I'm gonna go back to the 211 again, and I'll just take a little bit more of that brown, EN9, and just re-intensify this area just a little bit. And then, so the quad, the last color to use would be this one again. We don't really need it. but I'll take just a little bit of this shade and I'll use a brush. This time we'll go to this 203 from BK Beauty. And I'm just gonna apply a little bit of that in the inner corner right here. But you see, these shadows are just effortless. I love it. I love it so much. I'm gonna take what's left on that crease brush that we used first and put that here on the lower lash line. I'm gonna take this little pencil brush. This is a 23 from Rougher. It's a really tiny little pencil brush, and I'm gonna take a little bit of that outer corner brown, and I'm just gonna add a little tiny bit of this to the very outer portion of the lower lash line. And you know, you could add liner to this look. I don't really think that you need to, honestly. I'm gonna go back with a little bit more of that nude color, and I'm gonna put a little bit more of that here. So this is just a little bit darker than the last look, but not anything crazy. I'm gonna kind of curl the lashes here. Definitely not supposed to do this, so don't follow my lead on this one. But I'm gonna do it just for the sake of the video. I'm gonna take a little bit more of the mascara. This mascara is even layering now. Like, I remember I tried to put on another coat of this when I tried it the first time and it like really clumped together, but it's not really doing that this time. Here is look number 2. I did just switch up the lip as well, just for fun. I used Travis in the lip liner. I used a little bit of the Bronx Baby lipstick in the Super Satin formula, and then I took a little bit of the Moisture Glow Lip Serum in Nude Glow on top, and that is the lip combo that I have on right now. But this is look number 2, so similar to look 1, just a little bit darker, a little bit more brown, a little bit smokier, but not anything crazy dramatic. I love it. I think these tones are beautiful together and everything applied beautifully. So this is look number 2. All right, let's do look number 3. It's actually the next day. I had to stop filming yesterday. My 4-month-old was not having it, so I had to stop. I couldn't finish yesterday, so we're gonna finish today. So let's do look number 3. So like I said yesterday, I'm thinking we're gonna do quads. So this is quad number 3. So this is more of like a warm khaki olive quad, which are tones that I love. So that's what we're gonna use for look 3. I did already prime my eyes as well, but let's go ahead and go in. I guess we'll do this warm brown right here. So this is a warmer shade than this one. This matte we used first. This is a little cooler, a little bit more of like a rosy nude. This one is more of like a true warm brown. And I'm gonna apply this kind of in the outer corner here and then up into the crease as well. And I'm using the N13 from BK Beauty. The blend on these shadows is just what really stands out to me. It's just so easy. If you're a beginner with eyeshadow, I promise you, you can use this palette, or you can use his formula in general. These mattes are just buttery smooth and so easy to use and blend. Okay, now I want to take this shade, which this is a true matte up here, and this is a little bit more yellow toned. It's like an ivory, but it's definitely got like a yellow overall undertone to it. So I'm going to take some of that on a 203 from BK Beauty, and I'm gonna just pop a little bit of this right in this inner part of my lid, and then kind of bring it up just a little bit. So this shade does not have the shimmer in it like the other shade in the other corner. This formula, if you've never used it before, just so you know, when you stick your brush in, I may have already said this, I can't remember now, but when you stick your brush in, it does have some kick up in the pan. That's just the way this formula is. The mattes in the original Ethereal Eyes and the Midnight Ethereal Eyes were the same way, but just pointing that out in case that's something that you don't love. It doesn't bother me at all because I love the blendability of these shadows, so that does not bother me. And I did also want to mention yesterday when I took my makeup off, I had look number 2 on for a while after I stopped filming, and the eyeshadow wore all day long. It wore beautifully, no wearing away, no creasing. I mean, it looked great at the end of the day. So I did want to say that as well. So now we've got those 2 on. Now for the fun green shades, which I'm so excited for these. I think we're gonna do this one. So this is EN3, the one that's a little bit more of like, kind of like a gray olive tone. And I think I'm gonna use my finger with this shade. And I'm gonna kind of focus this on the outer corner of the eye. So I'm not gonna put this everywhere. I'm just gonna kind of keep it right here, kind of in this triangle. You could use a brush with this too, obviously, but this type of shimmer shade I really like to apply with my finger. Okay, so I just kind of placed that there. And then I'm gonna go back into my first blending brush that we used. And I'm like not pressing hard or touching hard at all. I'm just kind of going around the edges just to kind of soften any harsh lines. So you can see that color has a green tone to it, but it's definitely a softer looking green. It's not a vibrant looking green. It's more of a muted khaki kind of olive color. Very beautiful though. All right, and then we have to use this brighter green right here. So I'm gonna use my finger again, and I'm gonna put this in the inner portion of the lid and kind of drag it up. That one is so pretty. So pretty. That shade has a lot of gold shimmer in it. Hopefully it will pick up on camera. It's very, very pretty though. Okay, and then let's see. Honestly, you could leave it here. I might take a little bit of the dark brown just for fun. I'm gonna go with the Refer 23, and I am gonna kind of use this as liner. Line my eye. That's a good shade actually for liner. It's applying really nicely that way. Just doing a little bit of that just to define the lash line just a little bit. I love that they have this brown in here because you can use this for liner, or you could use it obviously just to like deepen up the outer corner. Switching now to a 204. I'm going to take a little bit of both of those mattes that we used first, and I just kind of mix them together to get a little bit of both. I'm putting those on the lower lash line, and then I'm going to use that same brush, and let's see. Actually, I was going to say I'm going to put that kind of olivey color on the lower lash line. I guess we will. Just a tiny little bit right here in the very, very outer corner. Okay, I did also want to point out that I do not see any fallout from those shades under my eyes, which is really, really good. And I use my finger for quite a bit, so that's a really very, very impressive. All right, let's do mascara. I'm gonna use the brown mascara again, and I'm gonna test this out again today. Yesterday, I did not have smudging with this, which makes no sense because I swear when I used this mascara the first time, when it came out in black, I did have some smudging, but yesterday I didn't. So I'm gonna use this again. I really like the color of this brown, and it's also not really clumpy on me. And originally, I swear I thought it was kind of a clumpy formula, but I'm just gonna do kind of a light coat since I have to try to take this eye makeup off again for the last look. But I'm gonna do the other eye quickly, and then I'll do a lip, and I'll come back and show you finished look number 3. All right, here is look number 3. I did a little bit of a different lip with this one too. I did Almond from Mario, my most used lip liner of all of them. I love Almond. And then I did a little bit of the shade South Shore in his Super Satin lipstick. And then I did use a little bit of Moisture Glow Lip Serum in Nude Glow as well. But this is finished look number 3, so a little bit deeper, a little bit, I don't know, more dramatic. Not super dramatic, but more than an everyday look for me. But I do love the greens. I love that he put greens in here. And the one with all of the sparkle in it, I mean, if you love these green tones, that shade is so pretty. So, so pretty. This one right here, which is EN7. So pretty. So, so pretty. And y'all, I use my fingers and I don't have any fallout under my eyes. So that is another huge plus. But I love this look. We don't see that many palettes coming out with greens. So anytime I see green in a palette, I get really excited. But I love how this look turned out. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. The green we put in the outer corner is a little bit more subtle. It's not as punchy as the other green. It's still beautiful. It's just more muted. It's more of like a neutral green. Doesn't have as much punch or as much shimmer as the one I put in the center and the inner corner. But this is look number 3. Finally, let's do look number 4. I got that off the best that I could, and I'll just have to work around the mascara because there's really no getting that off unless I wash my entire face, and I don't have time for that. So let's get into this look. So now I was thinking we could use this quad. I might not use green again for this one because I feel like that'll kind of change the look quite a bit. I really want to focus on this purple, and this is the only color we haven't used yet. So I'm actually going to start with that shade. And I'm going to use a brush with this because since I have that mascara on my lid, it's going to be kind of hard for me to use my finger. So I'm going to apply this kind of all over the lid. And this is the shade that is a different formula. It's definitely more of like a metallic formula. It has a totally different feel to it. So I'm just kind of building this up a little bit with my brush again. This is the 203. So this shade is definitely a purple, but it's more of a muted purple, as you can see, which might not be something that everyone's gonna love. I personally do like that because I like all of my eyeshadows to be more on like the buildable natural side, because that's just how I like eyeshadow. I mean, sometimes you don't want a super intense shadow, you know, especially if you're using a color. Sometimes it's nice to be able to kind of build up to the intensity that you want and it not be like full on pigment right away. Do you know what I mean? If you have green eyes, this color is going to be your best friend. Okay, so we've got that laid down. Now I'm going to take that N13 brush that we've been using quite a bit, and I'm first just going to go around the edges. I didn't add any additional product to this. I'm just using whatever's on this brush just to go around the edges. I mean, it's not the most intense pigment I've ever used, but I mean, this palette and this formula in general is not going to give you a ton of pigment. So if that's what you're looking for, you're going to be disappointed in this palette. If you like softer eye looks and you want more of a buildable formula that's a little bit on the softer side, you will love this formula, in my opinion. Okay, let's do a little bit of this color again. So this is EN8. It's a really pretty kind of rosy nude color. And I'm going to start this in the outer corner and then kind of pull it up into the crease. Stunning. And we used literally like 2 shades. I'm going to take whatever is on the brush now and just kind of feather under the lower lash line. And then I'm going to switch back to the 203. I just kind of wiped it off right here since we used that for the purple shade. And then I'm going to go back to the first cream here that has the shimmer in it. And I'm going to take just a little bit of this right here, kind of at the arch of my brow. And then I'm going to take that same shade and I'm going to put just a tiny bit of it in my inner corner. Not a lot, just a little bit. And I mean, honestly, you don't really need to do anything else. I mean, I think that's beautiful. It's a little bit purple, but not crazy purple. It's a little bit deeper, but it's still, you know, on the soft side of a deep eye look in my mind. I'm going to take that 23 brush from Refer, and I'm going to take a little bit of the dark brown again. I don't really know why I'm doing this. It's going to be kind of hard to do with the mascara already on, but I'm just kind of lining my eye with this very, very lightly like we did with the last look. I think that's all I'm going to do. Okay, let's add just a little bit of mascara. Trying to decide if I want to change the lip or if I want to leave it alone. All right, here is look number 4. I did switch up the lip again just because I felt like it. So I used Almond Lip Liner again. I went back to the Bronx Baby shade of the Super Satin lipstick, and then I did do a little bit of the Nude Glow on top as well. But this is look number 4. I love this one too. I think this is so pretty, and it literally took me no effort. That's the thing about this palette, is it's so easy. It's just easy. You don't have to worry about it. They blend so beautifully. If you're into purple, this is a really nice shade to have in this palette while not being a super intense purple. It's more of a muted, more natural looking purple, but it still gives you that purple tone overall. I think it's beautiful and I love this look. This is not an everyday look for me, but if I wanted purple, this is a great shade to have in this palette. I'm glad he included it. All right, so I wanted to give some final thoughts on the palette and if I recommend it and just my overall thoughts on it. Do I recommend it? 100% yes. If you like a more muted color story and more muted pigment in your eyeshadows and you like the color story, I think this is an absolutely beautiful palette. I have no notes. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I know some people are not happy with the shimmer shades in here. I think they're absolutely beautiful, but yes, they are a little bit different than the original. They have a little bit more color. They're not that scattered light look, like a moon dust eyeshadow from Urban Decay. These have a little bit of that wet look, and they do have some shine, but not quite like the original. So if that's what you are wanting, you are gonna be disappointed with this because they are a little bit different. But overall, I mean, even the feel of them, I think the formula is the same. I just think they have a little bit more base pigment in the new version. That's just my opinion. The original just gives you more of that scattered, wet look, sparkly look on the eye, not very much color. This gives you a little bit less of that and a little bit more of the color, but still you get a little bit of both, which I think is beautiful. And the mattes perform exactly like the originals to me, so I'm not seeing any difference there. I do see what people mean about the shimmers being a little bit different, but like I said earlier, if he had come out with a palette that was exactly like the first one, I do think people would be unhappy with that as well, because that's a criticism that we see a lot in the beauty industry. of brands releasing the same thing over and over. People like to see variety. So I'm not surprised that they changed it a little bit. And I also want to point out that this is called the Nature Palette. So in nature, you think of things as more muted, soft, not vibrant, you know, intense color stories. You know what I mean? So I don't really understand the pigment claim that anybody would make on this. I think it's exactly what you would think it would be, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. I see nothing wrong with it at all. In fact, I think this is the prettiest palette of 2025 so far. I love it, and I'm so happy to have it. I think it's 100% worth the money and worth purchasing if this sounds like something that you would like. But everybody has different preferences. Everybody likes different things. And is everyone gonna like this? No. But that's true of any makeup product, you know? I think he did a great job with this, and I'm very, very happy with it. I love how all 4 looks turned out. I love that I can also get a very everyday look with this and amp it up a little bit with some of the purple and the green and get a little bit more of an intense look. I love that as well. So yeah, I think they knocked it out of the park with this personally. I'm not really seeing where the criticism is coming from, other than the shimmer formula being a little bit different, but you know, brands change things, that's what they do. One other thing I wanted to mention is that not everyone wants that kind of glittery, scattered light, wet look that you got from the original. In fact, a lot of people that didn't like it, that was the reason that they didn't like it, was they didn't want to see eyeshadow from like space. Do you know what I mean? They want more of a muted, more refined shimmer, and that's what this is. So I think this is going to appeal to a lot of people. I really do. I can understand the disappointment in not getting that exact scattered shimmer with these, but I still think the formula they gave us is beautiful. So I think there's absolutely a lot of people that are going to love this palette and use it all the time, and I'm going to be one of them. So those are kind of my overall thoughts on this. I will definitely continue using this, and you know, you'll see it in upcoming videos, but I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed seeing all the different shades in the palette. I really like it, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Everything I used on my face, the lip combos as well, I will list in the description box, and I'll link in YouTube shopping for you as well. If you do shop through any of my links, I do make a commission that supports my channel, so thank you so much for that. And if you're new, I would love for you to stick around and subscribe. We would love to have you here, and I will see you again very soon. Remember, simply be you. Bye.